Magandang araw and welcome to our video recorded lecture. Of course, welcome back to PA 118, Politics and Administration. I hope naging insightful po para sa inyo ang ating first lesson because today we are about to meet one of the most influential thinkers not only in public administration but of course in the entire social sciences. And his name is Max Weber, no? Chances are narinig na po ninyo ang pangalan niya sa sociology subject po ninyo, sa amin sa political science, napakasikat po niya, and even sa mga economics subject po ninyo way back when you were in senior high school. Pero sa public administration, my dear friends, take note that Weber occupies a very special place. Bakit kanyo? Because if Woodrow Wilson gave us the idea of separating politics from administration, si Max Weber naman po showed us what administration should actually look like, no? So pinakita po niya sa atin ano nga ba ang totoong itsura ng isang administration. And please listen kasi I want you to remember this distinction. Kung si Woodrow Wilson po answered the question, who should make policies and who should implement them, kay Weber naman po, sinagot po niya yung ibang tanong. If administration is supposed to implement policies, then how should a government organization actually be designed? Kung nag-i-implement no ang administration side ng mga polisiya, paano? Sa paanong paraan? Anong itsura ng organization para masabi natin na maayos ang implementation nito? Lahat ba dapat leader? Lahat ba dapat utusan? Iisa lang ba dapat ang mamuno? Ganun yung sinagot po ni Max Weber. And practically, this is a completely different conversation. Now, here is something more interesting. Whenever people hear the word bureaucracy, ano kaya agad yung unang pumapasok sa isip nila? If I'm going to ask you right now, when you hear the word bureaucracy, what comes first into your minds? O pwede siguro po ninyong i-type in sa ating chat box no or sa ating comments section para po naman makita ko na nag-i-interact po talaga kayo sa akin. Okay? So perhaps no, some of you might be thinking right now, mahabang pila, red tape. Ano nga ba yung red tape ulit? Ito yung mga parang ngay shortcut lanes, di ba? Porket may kakilala ka lang sa loob. Ayan, di ka napipila kasi siya nang bahala. Babayaran mo na lang. May mga under the table transactions ba? Bureaucracy ba pag sinabing maraming requirements, di ba? Sa magpa-process ka ng valid ID, kailangan ng valid ID din, di ba? Uso pa ba ang mga fixers ngayon? Or ramdam nyo ba yung bagal ng serbisyo sa isang bureaucracia? Well, let's be honest, no? For most Filipinos like you, bureaucracy has became a negative word, no? Kapag sinabing ang bureaucratic naman ng prosesong 'yan, usually reklamo na iyon. Hindi na 'yon compliment, 'di ba? Kasi nakakainis naman talaga na ang bagal-bagal ng mga proseso. Okay? But here is the irony, no? For Max Weber, bureaucracy was never meant to be a bad thing. Okay? In fact, according to Max Weber, he believed it was the most rational, most efficient, and most reliable way of organizing a modern government. No? That is why this lesson is very important. Bakit? Because before we criticize bureaucracy, we first need to understand bakit nga ba siya nag-i-exist in the first place. Okay? So, by the end of today's discussion, hopefully, I hope you'll begin looking at government offices differently. Hindi na lang siya mga buildings, hindi na lang siya mga agencies, but as a carefully designed organizations whose structures were built upon the ideas that are already more than 100 years old, no? So, parang kumbaga, nung nag-engineering ka, kayo yung nagle-layout ng foundation, 'di ba? Yung structure natin nakatayo na, pero the design is actually from the architects. And that is bureaucracy, no? Binibigyan niya ng anyo, binibigyan niya ng itsura, binibihisan niya ang administration para magkaroon po ito ng maayos na itsura. Okay? And surprisingly po, many of those studies are still shaping Philippine government today. In fact, no, the Philippines remain to be a bureaucratic country. So now, before we dive into Weber's theory, let's first reconnect with what we left off last time. No, mag-review tayo saglit para alam niyo 'yun, walang naiiwan, walang tapon, kasi gusto kong malaman po ninyo na yung mga pinag-aaralan po natin ngayon, integrative. Anong ibig sabihin po noon? Yung mga concepts po na dinidiscuss ko ngayon will still be useful sa mga susunod po nating lesson and even sa susunod pa po ninyo mga subjects ng ating public administration. Okay? So before we officially meet Max Weber, let's first revisit where we left off in lesson 1. No? Remember Wilson and Goodnow? No? If I were to summarize their contribution in just one sentence, I would say they taught us that politics and administration perform different functions. Again, politics decides, administration implements. Simply enough, right? Now, at first glance, parang kumpleto na siya, 'di ba? May gumagawa ng polisiya? Yes, politics. May nagpapatupad or nag-i-implement? Administration. Problem solved. Pero hindi pa kasi diyan natitigil, no? Hindi pa yan enough because Wilson and Goodnow never really answered another equally important question. And that is, what does a well-functioning government organization actually look like? No? Let's think about it. If administration is responsible for implementing policies, yes, yes. How should an organization be organized? Lahat ba nasa top dapat? Lahat ba may middle management? Dapat ba 20 na tao ang magtrabaho nito? How should an office be organized? Who supervises them? How are employees selected? Based on merit? Based on fitness? Graduate ba dapat ng cum laude? Kailangan ba may ranking po tayo? 'Di ba? Kailangan ba ng procedures? Kailangan ba ng organizational chart? So, Wilson never fully explained these things. And even si Goodnow, wala po siyang explanation nito. Okay? Pero, etong susunod na taong pag-uusapan po natin, diniscuss po niya yan. Okay? Tinuruan po niya tayo kung paano nga ba ang disenyo ng isang bürokrasya. No? So, my dear friends, makikilala po natin si Max Weber. Because unlike Wilson, Weber wasn't primarily asking how do we separate politics from administration. Yun kasi naging focus ni Wilson eh. Pero ngayon, ang pag-uusapan naman natin is yung tanong ni Weber. How do we organize administration so that it becomes predictable, efficient, and legitimate? Now, notice the shift. Wilson was concerned about the functions. Weber, on the other hand, became more concerned with structure. And believe me, my dear students, that small shift changed the entire field of public administration. So naging founding idea lang si Wilson, pero the further development was introduced by many more public administration scholars. At isa na rito, si Weber. No, in fact, almost every government agencies na mai-encounter po natin ngayon, yung Civil Service Commission, yung Department of Education, no? Yung inyong munisipyo sa Tagudin, sa Santa Cruz, sa Santa Maria, sa Sodipan, sa Bangar, no? They still carry many of Weber's idea whether you realize it or not, no? So now, we have already identified the missing piece. Now let's try to meet the man who tried to answer that. No? So here comes Max Weber. Sino nga ba siya? And more importantly, why are we still talking about him kahit 100 taon na ang nakalilipas? O 100 years ago din, naglakayan. Now, here's what makes Weber different from many political thinkers. No, most scholars during his time were asking questions like sino dapat ang mamuno, ano nga ba ang nagpapaganda sa isang pamahalaan? Which political system is better? Democracy ba? Communism ba? Populism ba? Socialism ba? So, yeah, these questions are important. I have to agree. Pero, Weber became interested in something even more fundamental. Ang tanong po niya, bakit nga ba tayo nag-o-obey? Why do people obey authority in the first place? O sa tingin niyo bakit? Bakit tayo sumusunod? Imagine, you are driving along the highway. A traffic enforcer raises one hand and tells you to stop. Titigil ka? Natural. But the question is, why are you stopping? Dahil ba mas malakas yung pulis? Probably not. Dahil ba takot ka kasi may baril yung pulis or pwede kanyang arestuhin? Maybe. But according to Weber, no, that's still not the deepest reason. Hindi po yung pagiging takot natin sa authority, hindi dahil may mas malakas na tao, yun ang pinakamalalim na rason kung bakit tayo sumusunod. In fact, according to Weber, the real reason is that you recognize that the traffic enforcer has a legitimate authority, no? Ano na naman yung legitimate authority na yan, sir? Okay? In the study of power, okay, mamimit po natin yung tinatawag na authority and legitimacy. For context, is a legitimate authority, no? A legitimate authority is a power that people accept as right and fair. Tinatanggap ito ng tao. There is an acceptance. It means po, the leader or the group has a recognized right to make rules and expect obedience. No? Dito po, ito po yung isa sa mga perspective na binigay po ni Max Weber sa atin. No? What are the key traits of a legitimate authority? There is consent. The people agree to let the authority act for them. There are rules and it is more stable. Okay? So yun po yung tinatawag nating um, legitimate authority. Okay? Yan. So, in other words po, just to make it short and simple, you believe, naniniwala ka na yung traffic enforcer has the right to issue commands. That is a powerful idea because governments cannot rely on fear forever. Hindi po pwedeng lagi tayong takot. No? Ang takot, nawawala yan. Lalo kapag nakikita nilang hindi naman po umiiral ang mga batas. No? Dati takot tayo sa pamahalaan. Anong nangyari? Lumaban tayo. That's EDSA. No? Nagbabago din po ang mga leader. Nawawala ang mga weapons. But if citizens genuinely believe that authority is legitimate, then obedience become stable. Hindi kailangan ng baril, hindi kailangan mang-aresto, hindi kailangan pumatay. So, you'll notice that Weber wasn't trying to tell governments how to become more popular. He wanted us to understand what makes authority accepted. 'Di ba? Ano ang mga bagay na tumatanggap at nagpapatanggap sa isang authority? Because once we understand bakit nga ba tayo sumusunod, we can also understand why bureaucracies exist. Bakit merong mga rules ang government and why modern states look the way they do today. So, if Wilson gave us politics administration dichotomy, well, Weber gave us something really and equally important, a theory explaining the foundation of authority itself. And from that foundation, he begins constructing one of the most influential theories of bureaucracy ever written. But bago po natin i-discuss ano nga ba yung bureaucracia na yan na sinasabi ng taong ito, let's first get to know Weber himself. Kasi hindi lang po siya isang scholar. Hindi scholar ng bayan ha, na binibigyan ng pera ng pamahalaan. Ibig sabihin niyan, he is a well-accomplished academician. But as someone whose background greatly influenced the way we understood society today. Okay? So, si Max Weber po, yan. Si Max Weber po ay isang German sociologist. Siya po ang nagbigay sa atin ng perspective not just in political science, not just in economy, but as sociology. Actually, si Max Weber, abogado po yan. No? Kaya nga po, meron siyang authority to provide us schools of thoughts ng bureaucracy kasi siya mismo danas po niya yaan. No? Na-experience po niya yaan at kitang-kita po niya yaan. Okay? So, moving forward, ano nga ba ang aasahan ko from you after learning this lesson? So, before we dive deeper in today's lesson, let's align our expectations. No? One thing I always tell my students is don't just study to finish the lesson. Study knowing what you're supposed to be able to do afterwards. At the end of the day, magiging graduates na kayo. Papasok kayo sa pamahalaan. You should be familiar with the office you are working with because it makes a huge difference. So, my dear students, after this discussion or as we end today's discussion, I am expecting you to achieve three things. Una, I want you to explain, not just memorize, but explain. There's a difference, no, between memorizing and explaining. Anyone can memorize that Weber talked about bureaucracy. But can you explain why bureaucracy became the dominant organizational model of modern governments? That's a different level of understanding. Pangalawa, I want you to analyze. We'll be looking at actual government situations. You'll ask questions like which feature of bureaucracy is present in this situation? Is this an example of a rational legal authority? Is this efficient or has it become red tape? Ano nga ba yung red tape kasi na yan muna? Sige nga. Kasi meron tayong batas sa Pilipinas na anti-red tape. Okay? So, red tape is actually an idiom, no? For official rules, forms, and procedures that are too complex and slows things down. Sa sobrang haba ng proseso, di ba? Apag ako mag-enroll, ibaon na ka piti registrar, ni registrar, ibaon na kanto man ti accountingan, ni accounting, ibaon na ka ni program head mo, na-request mo ti bunga campushan mo pa nalalapas na tang enrollment, red tape daytan. Kasi walang malinaw na proseso. Okay? Ganon yung mga tanong dapat natin. No? And finally, I want you to evaluate. Okay? Because Weber was really, really a brilliant person, pero you have to take note na tulad din natin, tao lang si Weber at hindi po siya perpekto. Wala pong perpektong teorya. As future administrators, public administrators, your job is not simply to admire theories. Ha? Your job is to ask, gumagana pa rin ba ito sa Pilipinas? No? Ano yung strength nito? Is it still working? No? May mga limitations ba itong ginagawa po natin? Because ito yung talagang ginagawa natin bilang public administrators, no? We are not just knowing the theory, we are trying to apply these theories and evaluate ano nga ba yung mga gumagana sa hindi. Okay? So please, no? Keep those verbs in mind throughout our lecture. Explain, analyze, and evaluate. Okay? Now, moving forward, ayan. Okay? Pag-usapan muna natin yung mga experiences po ninyo. Because one thing you'll realize throughout these course is that public administration is not and will never be an abstract discipline. Hindi po ito tungkol lamang sa mga libro, hindi lamang po ito tungkol sa mga theories. It's something we experience almost every day. So let me ask you a very simple question. When was the last time you transacted with a government office? Kahapon? Nung isang araw? Last week? Nag-renew kayo ng driver's license niyo sa LTO, for example? Or kumuha kayo ng birth certificate sa PSA? Nag-request kayo ng barangay clearance or certificate of indigency sa barangay? Nagpa-enroll kayo? Nagbayad kayo na sa government agencies? So, come on. Lagi po nyo amin ngayon ubrayo di barangay identity government offices nga napanan nyo. Now, my next question is, okay, pag-usapan natin yung proseso na inobserve ninyo nung pumunta kayo sa opisina na yon. Okay? Was the process governed by clear procedures? Or did it somehow depend on who you knew, yung kilala ninyo doon sa opisinang iyon? Kasi class, tinatanong ko to, no, let's be honest. Minsan, may naririnig tayo or kayo mismo ang nagsasabing, oh, may kilala yan sa loob. O, tawagan na lang natin si ganito para mas mabilis. May fixer ata dyan. Kilala ko yung tito niya yan, classmate ko eh. Ganon, di ba? Kung narinig nyo na itong mga to or kayo mismo ang nagsabi ng mga bagay na to, then you've already encountered one of the biggest tensions in public administration, rules versus relationships. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine walking into a government office where everyone falls in line. Everyone submits exactly the same requirements. Walang special treatment. Walang padrino. Walang classmate-classmate. Walang backdoor. Rules lang. Question. Which system feels more fair? Is it the first one or the second one? Well, probably, kung tatanungin ninyo, and I think you will all resonate, probably the second one. Maybe mas mabagal, maybe lesser personal, but definitely more predictable. And that is exactly the kind of organization Weber was trying to describe. Hindi perfecto, pero, okay, an organization where people know what to expect regardless of who they are. Now, one of the reasons citizens become frustrated with government isn't always because they are denied. Sometimes it's because they don't understand the process. Or naiintindihan nila pero hindi lang kasi maayos yung trato. May pinapauna dahil mas mayaman, may pinapauna dahil may kamag-anak. Mali, no? So, here's what I'd like you to do, no? kung tayo ay nasa loob ng isang classroom, definitely, iisa-isahin ko kayong tatanungin. Pero, since online recording naman 'to, try niyo na lang sagutin sa inyong notes, okay? Para kahit papaano naman class ay magkaroon tayo ng interaction, okay? So finally, let's begin. Who was Max Weber? Well, si Max Weber ang ama ng birokrasya. Pero, okay, bakit nga ba almost all public administration programs around the world still teach his ideas today? Kung meron kayong subject na sociology sa public administration, definitely napag-usapan niyo na po si Max Weber. In fact, no, Max Weber is often mentioned alongside yung dalawa pang mga thinkers natin. Si Emil Durkheim, which many scholars refer to him as the founding father of sociology. And of course, meron din po tayo si Karl Marx. Okay? Ngayon, si Karl Marx, ang question niya is, why do societies experience inequality? Si Weber naman, okay, ang tanong niya ay kapareho kina Marx at Durkheim. Okay? Sa kanya, ang focus niya is, why do people obey? Not obey their parents, not obey their teachers, but why do citizens obey authority? Bakit nga ba tayo sumusunod sa otoridad? Come on, think about it. Every single day, millions of people follow traffic rules. Kayo din mismo, 'di ba? Ay, kailangang tumawid sa tamang daanan, 'di ba? Kailangan magbayad ng buwis, kailangan mag-file ng permit, kailangan mag-renew ng licenses, kailangan pumila. O 'di ba? Ang dami. Kailangan mag-submit ng mga documents. Kailangan sumunod tayo sa deadline. 'Di ba? Bakit? Bakit natin 'to sinusunod? Kahit wala namang nag-e-enforce. So why do we comply? Yaan yung pinakatanong ni Max Weber. Okay? At until now, sinusubukan pa rin natin siyang intindihin. Si Max Weber po, hindi lang siya sociologist, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina. He is also a lawyer. He also studied economics. May mga sinulat din po siya tungkol sa religion, no? And even about history. Okay? Nag-observe din siya ng napakaraming forms of government. And even in-examine din po niya yung iba't ibang mga organization. Therefore, my dear students, Max Weber wasn't just looking at a society from one perspective. In fact, no, maybe yung mga explanation niya ay mayaman because marami siyang mga bansa at mga historical periods na inaral at inintindi. Now, whenever Weber explains bureaucracy, he is not merely describing an office, no? He is trying to explain how modern civilization itself became organized. And that is actually much bigger conversation. Now, interestingly, many people think Weber invented bureaucracy, pero hindi po. Hindi po siya ang nag-coin ng word na bureaucracy. In fact, no, mas matagal pa po na nag-exist yung word na bureaucracy compared sa kung kailan siya ipinanganak. Okay? Mas pinalawig lang po niya yung understanding po natin ng bureaucracy. Okay? Take note, class, okay, that government offices had already existed long before Weber was born. Meron na mga opisina sa pamahalaan noon, di ba? May mga kings na po tayo na merong mga bureaucrats. The empires had administrators. Even ancient China had civil servants centuries before modern Europe. So, kung ganun pala na hindi naman original nang galing kay Weber yung word na bureaucracy, anong kinontribute niya? Anong ibinigay niya po sa atin? Well, He gave us something far more valuable than an invention. Yes, it is true na hindi po si Weber ang nagbigay sa atin ng konsepto ng bureaucracy, but he gave us a framework, no? A way of understanding, no? Bakit nga ba merong bureaucracy? Bakit nga ba kumalat ito sa buong mundo? And why modern governments continue to rely on it today? That is exactly why, even if you never became a public administration student, understanding Weber will still help you understand why organizations, from government to universities, even large corporations, are structured the way they are in its essence. Now, my dear students, as we move forward, my dear class, okay, we will try now to notice something interesting. Weber rarely tells us what governments should be. Instead, he first asks us to understand how government actually works. And personally, para sa akin, I think that's what makes him such a brilliant scholar. Because before proposing a solution, he first wanted to understand reality. Ganyan dapat tayo. Hindi dapat tayo ngawa ng ngawa, magbigay ng solusyon nang hindi naman natin inuunawa ang totoong problema. No? And speaking of understanding reality, yung susunod po nating slide is another important aspect of Weber that many students often overlook, no? His way of studying history and society comparatively, no? Nagkaroon po ng comparative analysis si Max Weber. At here you go, no? Most people remember him as, siya yung nagbigay ng konsepto ng bureaucracy, or siya yung may three types of authority. Well, tama naman sila. Those are correct, pero that is just the other side of the coin. Meron pa pong other side, no? And to really understand Weber, you also need to understand how he thought, no? Because his way of studying society was actually very different from many scholars of his time. Remember Wilson? Wilson was primarily a reformer. He wanted government to become more efficient. He was asking the questions like, how can we improve administration? How can government become less corrupt? How can we professionalize the civil service? Yes, these are practical questions, very policy-oriented, very reform-driven. But Weber was a different kind of scholar. He wasn't immediately trying to fix the government. Inintindi muna po niya yung realidad. And that is a huge difference. Now, imagine going to a doctor. Di ba? Sinabi mo lang, Dok, ang sakit ti tiyan ko. Inikkan na ka nga sigud ti loperamide. Very wrong kasi wala man lang diagnosis. No? Okay? So, dapat i-check up ka muna. Saan ba nanggagaling yung sakit ng tiyan mo? Baka mamaya kasi, hindi naman pagtatai yan, kundi ibang reason na pala. No? So here, the approach became more scientific. Okay? And yaan po yung tinatawag nating Weberian. No? So instead of looking at only one country or only one government, Weber compared civilizations across different periods of time. Yun yung tinatawag nating Herrschaft. No? Herrschaft. Ewan ko anong pronunciation niya. Nung nasa slide ko, ganyan yung spelling po niya. Okay? So, tinignan po niya ang iba't ibang mga sibilisasyon like the medieval Europe, Asian civilizations, no? Madami sa Asia, no? Lalo na sa Yellow River ng China, iba't ibang mga dinastiya, okay? Religious institutions as well, economic systems, and modern industrial states. Bakit po? Kasi naniniwala po si Weber na if we try to compare different societies, nagkakaroon po siya ng pattern. And once we discover these patterns, we can now explain why some institutions survive at yung iba nag-disappear na lang na parang bula. Ah, No, that is why he is often described as comparative historical sociologist. Okay? Meron siyang signature move, no? He tried to compare countries, people, society over the course of a history. Okay? So in short, kung papasimplihin ko po ito, comparative dahil he constantly compared different societies. Historical because he believed na mahalaga ang kasaysayan. No, it's not enough for you to say, past na nga, bakit pinag-uusapan pa? In this context, mahalagang pag-usapan ang nakaraan because it helps us understand where we are coming from and where we are going. Those are very important philosophical question, right? Now, think about the Philippines. Can we understand the Philippine bureaucracy without discussing Spanish colonial administration? No, right? Even before Spaniards came into the Philippines, meron na tayong sariling bürokrasya. We have our own class society, di ba? Meron mga maharlika na pinamumunuan ng mga dato, sultan, raha. Meron tayong mga timawa kung saan pinamumunuan ito ng mga freemen, mga noble classes, mga working class. And then we also have mga alipin. And in the context of our history, there are two types of alipin. Alipin na mamahay and alipin sa gilid, right? So you have to understand the context of the Philippine administration and Philippine bureaucracy in the context of historical perspective. Ganun yung ginawa ni Max Weber. Okay? Now, kay Max Weber, he was not simply asking ano ang nag-work sa Germany. Rather, he was asking why do government across history eventually become more organized, more rules-based, and more bureaucratic? That is actually a bigger question. And because of that, his theories became applicable not just in Germany, but almost everywhere, including yung bansa po natin. Okay? Now, we continue to the next slide. Okay? This is just actually a fun fact. Okay? So, well, meron tayong trivia para kay Max Weber. Okay? Short lang to. Don't worry. Okay? Alright. Most students assume that Max Weber personally finished and published all of his major books. Pero hindi, no? Sa kasamaang palad, namatay muna si Max Weber bago po na i-publish lahat ng kanyang articles. At ipinablish po ito ng kanyang asawa, no? So, it's actually a posthumous publication. Okay? And one of the most influential books in sociology, yung Political Science and Public Administration, was actually completed and was written by both the spouses Max Weber at yung kanyang asawa, no? At siya na din mismo nag-publish si Marianne Weber. So, you might be wondering, sir, paano nangyari yon? Okay? Of course, meron siyang katuwang sa buhay, 'di ba? So namayapa man si Max Weber na immortalize naman yung mga alaala at yung talino ni Max Weber sa pamamagitan ng pag-publish ng kanyang libro, 'di ba? And sino 'yon? Of course, yung better half niya, sana all, si Marianne Weber. Okay? 'Yon. All right. So let's continue. Quick check lang po tayo, true or false. Max Weber invented the word bureaucracy. The answer is false. Okay? He never invented the term. In fact, the term bureaucracy was already 2 centuries old before Weber developed his famous theory. So existing na po yung word na bureaucracy bago pa man mabuhay si Weber. In fact, the word bureau, meaning desk or office, came from the French word bureau. Okay? Tapos kinumbine pa yung Greek word krasia, which means rule or government. So practically, bureaucracia is ruled by the desk, or to make it more accurate, government conducted through offices, no? Actually, the term itself is commonly attributed to the French economist Vincent de Gournay, the Gournay around the middle of the 18th century. So if Weber did not invent the word, ang kanya pong contribution is more on the contextualization and development of bureaucracy. No, he transformed bureaucracy from an ordinary word into a more powerful analytical concept. No, he explained bakit nag-develop ang bureaucracy, why modern bureaucracies depend on it, and why its structure makes large scale possible. Okay? So, kumbaga, si Isaac Newton, hindi naman niya in-invent ang gravity, nilinaw niya, no? Isinalaysay niya, he explained it. Charles Darwin did not invent evolution, he explained it. Ganon din yung kay Max Weber, mas nilinaw lang po niya. Okay? Now, as we continue, sabi ko kanina, there is this one fundamental question Max Weber tried asking, okay? And that is actually now, why do people obey? Bakit sumusunod ang mga tao sa bureaucracia? Okay? Yung yung kay Max Weber, okay, hindi lang siya about bureaucracy, hindi lang siya about organizational chart, hindi lang siya about government offices. It's not even about public administration only, no? Sinimulan po niya sa tanong na, why do people obey? And if you try to think about that for a moment, no? Hindi niya tinanong kung bakit nag-i-exist ang pamahalaan, hindi niya tinanong kung bakit may batas. The short way he asked it is, bakit tayong mga ordinaryong tao ay sumusunod? Now, let's make it practical. Imagine you are driving home, no? Biglang nag-red light yung traffic sign. Walang police officer, walang CCTV, walang MMDA, walang ibang nanonood, walang ibang tao, pero tumigil ka. Bakit? Bakit kayo tumigil? Is it because takot kayo na baka biglang may lumabas na tao at sabing, huli ka, pero di kulong? Or baka dahil natatakot ka na matikitan ka na lang? Okay? Pero, iba yung perspective ni Weber. Okay? For Weber, there's something much deeper happening. Kahit walang tao, kahit walang CCTV, sumusunod tayo because you've already accepted that traffic rules are illegitimate. You have internalized the idea that those rules deserve compliance, not because someone is forcing you every second, but because you recognize their authority. And no, that changed everything, because according to Weber, a government cannot survive by fear alone. Fear may produce temporary obedience. Katulad na nangyari sa martial law. Yes, 'di ba? Natakot ang mga tao kasi batas militar. Pero eventually naumad ang matlaang, so they protested. They fought back at napatanggal sa pwesto ang rehimeng Marcos, no? History gives us example. Dictators can use force. Kings can threaten punishment. Armies can intimidate. But the moment this fear disappears, people begin questioning authority. At doon nagkakaroon ng revolution. Okay? Now, what allows a government to endure for decades na hindi naman sila nagkakaroon ng pag-aalsa? It's legitimacy. When you say legitimacy, people accept your authority. They do not question it because may consent. When citizens genuinely believe that those in authority have the right to govern, obedience become voluntary. And voluntary obedience is always more stable than forced obedience. Now, I want you to notice something. Weber wasn't making moral argument. He was trying he wasn't saying governments are always right. He wasn't saying citizens should obey blindly. Instead, he was acting like a social scientist trying to understand what explains obedience. Bakit tayo sumusunod? 'Di ba? At yun na nga, na-discuss na rin po niya. Okay? Now, as we move forward, let's talk about authority and what makes authority legitimate. Okay? Kasi nababanggit ko na to kanina, legitimate authority. What makes authority legitimate? Well, here it goes. Okay? We've already established, na-move ko na ba yung slide? Yes. We've already established that governments cannot rely on fear alone. That leads us to the question, what makes people believe that authority deserves obedience? The answer, according to Weber, is legitimacy. Now, this is a word you'll encounter over and over again, hindi lamang sa pub-ad, kundi pati sa policy, constitutional law, governance, and even international relations. So, it is important that we understand the word legitimacy correctly. Many people confuse power with legitimacy, pero hindi po sila pareho. Let me explain something. Power simply means the ability to make someone do something. Legitimacy, on the other hand, is the belief that a person giving the command has the right to do so. That is a very important description. Okay? Power can exist without legitimacy, and legitimacy can exist even without using physical force. Example, imagine someone wearing a fake police uniform suddenly starts directing traffic. Some motorists might obey, but the moment they discover that the person is not actually a police officer, hindi na sila susunod. 'Di ba? Why? Kasi nawala na yung legitimacy and hindi kasi naging genuine yung authority niya. Now, compare that with an actual police officer. Even if that officer is physically smaller than you, mas maliit yung officer sa'yo, makikinig ka pa din. Susunod ka pa din. Hindi dahil mas mahina ka, but because you recognize that authority attached to the office. Okay? So, yun yung reason kung bakit tayo sumusunod. 'Di ba? Kung bakit tayo nag-o-obey sa mga authority na to. Okay? So, Weber uses the word legitimacy. He is referring to something happening inside people's minds. It's a shared belief that authority is rightful, that commands deserve obedience, that rules ought to be followed. Now, without that belief, pag wala na pong naniniwala sa authority na yan, then every government would need to rely on force. Papatayin ko kayo pag hindi kayo sumunod. Ganun na po ang kanyang direction. Okay? So I do hope that malinaw na po itong konsepto ng legitimacy, because we are now moving forward to a fascinating part. If legitimacy explains obedience, where does legitimacy itself come from? Saan nanggagaling yung legitimacy na yan? Now, according to Weber, there are three different answers. And those three answers became one of his most famous contributions to social sciences. Okay? And I will discuss that in the next video. Okay? So yun lang muna sa first part. I am ending now this video. We'll see each other again on the second part. Thank you so much and goodbye for now.